It is time to take you between the lines. Your host, Eric Edmondson, is getting ready to bring you stats and analysis from around the sporting world with a special guest on 98.7 Roar Radio.
Yes, it is indeed time to bring you in between the lines. Welcome into Between the Lines on 98.7 Roar Radio, WPCZ LP FM. At the top of the hour, Eric Edmondson, your host, here with you. Great to be back here with you. It's been a little bit of a rainy day on campus. You always appreciate a good old rainy day. Hey, but it's not going to be a rainy day when we're talking about it in the studio. That's right. It's all going to be sunshine and rainbows when we are on the clock. And yes, it is. Just wanted to say, top of the show, first time listening, we are throwing out all the personal attacks, all the random nonsense, not talking about entertainment news here. This is straight up sports talk. So let's go ahead and get into the straight up sports talk. Today's headlines, let's kick it off with that. MLB spring training has begun. That's right. We are officially here, folks. If you're just a baseball fan, you made it. It's been a long winter. In some cases, depending on which team you've been a fan of, it's been a slow winter. I would assume around here a majority of people are Braves fans. So, it has been a rough winter for sure. But, hey, we made it to spring training. We're going to have action pretty soon. First team workouts are this week. I believe pitchers and catchers report basically for everybody was today or Monday. Some of it was yesterday or Sunday for some clubs. But either way, guys, we made it. We're here. We're ready to go. And it's baseball time, baby. Still got a couple more months until opening day. But, hey, we got some sort of baseball action to talk about. Anthony Davis, obviously in the blockbuster trade last weekend, he hit the IR after his first game as a Maverick. Actually, not even after, during his first game as a Maverick. And it appears he'll be out for about 2 weeks or so. Look, and that was one of the biggest risks for trading for Anthony Davis is that he has shown that he's kind of an injury-ridden guy. It's very unfortunate. Of course, on the show, we do not, hope or anything of that. We don't glorify injuries at all. It's just something that comes with the game, and Anthony Davis is just one of those players who's very injury-ridden. And on the other side of that trade, Luka Doncic had his Lakers debut last night. By all accounts, it went well. He shook off the nerves. He had Dirk in the building, who was supporting Luka, because I'm sure Dirk was, not too happy with that trade either out of Dallas. Because man, oh man, I still can't get over that. It's just absolutely insane what they did to Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. And this past Sunday was the most watched Super Bowl in history with 126 million viewers. My goodness gracious, which is going to bring us directly into our topic of today. That's right, the Eagles have won the Super Bowl, and boy, oh boy, it was not close. Not a close contest at all. As they showed up, they showed out, and they were loud about it. This it really felt inevitable this year that Philly was going to take this one home. Other than the Detroit Lions, who were kind of a powerhouse all season long, I really feel like there was a lot more built-up momentum on Philadelphia's side. Obviously, the very disappointing season last year that got them booted out of the playoffs in the first round. You go and get Saquon this year. You get Vic Fangio to come run your defense. There was a lot of hype coming into the season. Had a couple bumpy roads to start, and then they ripped off the 10-game streak. And then, you end the season strong. You just end the season strong, and they certainly ended their season the strongest of strongs that you could have with beating the Chiefs and preventing them a three-peat in the Super Bowl. Man, this defense, we're going to talk about it a little bit more, but man, this defense was absolutely suffocating. Give you a couple numbers at the top of the show. 6 sacks on Patrick Mahomes. No blitz the entire night. No blitz. 2 picks against Patrick Mahomes. And a fumble. Goodness, they had his number. They figured out the Chiefs' offensive plan very quickly. The Chiefs were shut out for the entire first half. That was Mahomes' worst performance in a big game that we have seen, I would say. 6 for 14 with 2 picks, 33 yards in the first half. That's the fewest he has ever posted in the first half in his career, which will continue to go on and be great. But he lost a lot of momentum in this game because a lot of it was just he struggled here. He found Xavier Worthy on a couple of them. He found Xavier Worthy on a couple good passes. But here, he really, really struggled. But we got to give props to the other side of the coin. I'll eat my words here. I said on the show a couple weeks ago with Simon Johnstone that we thought, and I was leading this charge. I will not put Simon under the bus that firmly, but I will say I was leading the charge. Listen, I've never been the biggest Jalen Hurts fan. I'm just not. I've never been the biggest Jalen Hurts guy. I never thought he was going to be a QB that kills you with his arm. And look, he showed up, he showed out, and he shut up all the haters and all the naysayers on Sunday. Because I really thought he was going to go out there, throw 180 yards, rush for however many yards. Him and Saquon were going to carry the load, but no. 221 yards, a Super Bowl MVP, and a 77 completion rating for Jalen Hurts. I'll say it first on the show. I'm looking at the viewers right now. Not looking, but I'm talking to the viewers right now. And I'm saying I was wrong. I was wrong, everybody. Jalen Hurts is here. He is here to stay. He's easily going to be a top 5 QB for a minute. We're going to take a quick short break and then bring it into our first segment when we come on back. We are in Between the Lines on 98.7 Roar Radio, the student voice of Piedmont University. Welcome back into Between the Lines on 98.7 Roar Radio. Eric Evanson, your host, here with you, getting ready to break down how this Super Bowl victory happened for the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, oh man, it really felt like it was just, it was over. So many guys to be excited about for this team. You know, Jalen Hurts finally got the monkey off his back, so to speak. Saquon Barkley finally gets his ring. Listen to this from Saquon.
That's what it's all about. You dream about these moments as a little kid, and it's just amazing to have your family and friends, and especially your family, been with me through it all, the ups and the downs, and here we are, world champs.
To be with a team that is historically as bad as New York was, and to leave that team, then immediately win the Super Bowl afterwards, what a feeling. What a fantastic feeling for Saquon Barkley. I know I played it on the show. I don't know if I played it, but I definitely quoted it on the show a couple weeks ago about that interview he had where when his daughter found out that they're leaving New York and they're going to Philly, she says, does that mean Dad's going to win now? Hey, Dad won the big one. Even though he wasn't as potent in this game as usual, but we'll get into that. But hey, the Eagles did what they do best in this game, in the game of football. They absolutely wrecked it. They destroyed the game. This defense, talked about in the open, this defense, are we kidding? 38% pressure rating with no blitz? No blitz. And Mahomes took the most sacks that he has ever had in his career. He took that many sacks, 6 of them, against this amazing defense. And look, I said at the top as well, Vic Fangio, this might be one of the most effective hires any team has had for their coaching staff across the NFL. Because, yeah, Philly's defense was okay last year, but listen, you bring in a guy that's his specialty, that's his game, that's his big game, his job is to go and make a defense. Dude, you alleviate so much pressure off of Nick Sirianni's shoulders, which I've lamented my thoughts on Nick Sirianni in the past. Not going to get into that here. He won a ring. Congratulations. But Vic Fangio, one of the greatest coaching hires in the past couple of years and past couple seasons. And listen, here's another wild stat for you. The Eagles had a cover 4 defense for 59.5% of the game. That's the third highest in a game since 2018. They had a plan. It was in stone. And the Chiefs did absolutely nothing to break that plan. Look, Josh Sweat might have thought he was in line for Super Bowl MVP because the guy had 2.5 sacks. He was averaging that. The dude was on fire. 6 pressures on 34 pass rushes. 34 of them. Josh Sweat certainly had himself a night. The entire defense had a night. But you know who else had a night? That Eagles offense that was flying high. The Eagles were flying. And like I said at the top of this segment, is that the Chiefs did a great job to control Saquon. You know, if they were worried about just limiting Saquon, they did a fantastic job of doing that because Saquon was held to 57 yards on 25 carries. Problem is, he wasn't the problem. It was the other guy back there, other guy in the backfield. Jalen Hurts, 2 touchdowns, 211 yards. 2 touchdowns, passing, I should say. 211 yards. And that, I feel like that wasn't even his strength. I don't feel like passing is Jalen Hurts' strength, and I still feel that way, even after back-to-back performances against the Commanders as well as the Chiefs where he had 200-plus passing yards. I still don't think that's his strength. I think his strength is running, but it just shows how dynamic of a guy he can be. He can be super dynamic because he found dots to everybody. He was finding Devontae Smith. He was finding A.J. Brown. That Smith touchdown, first off, shout out Devontae Smith, first Alabama wide receiver to catch a Super Bowl touchdown in the Super Bowl. Weird stat, wild stat. Of course, we've had Alabama wide receivers score in the Super Bowl, but never like get a receiving touchdown. Anyway, that's beside the point. That pass, 55 yards in the air, an absolute dime from Jalen Hurts. And the last time that a ball like that traveled was in Super Bowl 56 when Jalen Hurts found A.J. Brown. Now, there was another team in this Super Bowl, although sometimes it didn't feel like it. Where did the Chiefs go? Where did this Chiefs offense disappear to? Now, granted, this is a Chiefs offense that all season long before the AFC Championship game never scored over 30 points. They were sleepwalking through games. They knew, we said, hey, when they get to the big dance, though, that's when they're turning on the Jets. That's when they're turning on the afterburners. That's when they care, right? No. I thought the Chiefs were going to run all over. You know, I kind of said on the show before, I was like, I really expected that Mahomes, once the receivers go out and everyone's looking at them, he's going to break away for these 20-yard little runs that he traditionally does. He does this all the time. I thought that effect was going to be in full control. I thought Mahomes was going to be the game manager that he has been, but he wasn't. He was not here. This was not Patrick Mahomes. This wasn't the Patrick Mahomes that we've come to see. I mean, and just listen to some of what's being said about him here.
I mean, both sucked. I mean, there's no way around it. Anytime you lose a Super Bowl, it's the worst feeling in the world. They'll stick with you the rest of your career. I mean, these will be the two losses that will motivate me to be even better for the rest of my career, because you only get so few of these, and you have to capitalize on these, and they hurt probably more.
That's what he said. They hurt. It stings. It sucks. But this is how he played out there.
Maybe one of the most immature games from Patrick Mahomes that I've ever seen in terms of impatience, in terms of turnovers, in terms of forcing the football. So like you said, you know, the guy that we think of as, and who I've touted, all season long as like the money player on money downs, the money player in the fourth quarter, the best situational football on the planet. He looked like a rookie in the most crucial moments of this game.
He looked like a rookie.
You know, it was a team effort.
And it wasn't. That's not a lie. Mahomes looked flat out bad in this game, and you can say that. And you got the stats to back it up. Again, 33 yards in the first half. That's the lowest of his career. This is by far his second lowest QB rating of his career. I believe that first one was when he was a rookie, when he was young, when he was a rookie. He wasn't the guy who has won all these Super Bowls. He's not there yet. That was that guy. This is graduated Mahomes. This is supposed to be matured Mahomes, and he couldn't do anything except for finding Xavier Worthy, who had a great game, by the way. Xavier Worthy might have had like the quietest great Super Bowl performance ever. A couple touchdowns for him. He's wicked fast. Guy's dangerous, but he's going to have a really quiet Super Bowl because just Patrick Mahomes could not find that connection. He did not run well. The Chiefs didn't run well. They completely abandoned the run game, which I felt was a big contributor to them beating the Bills in the AFC Championship, is that they had a more dynamic offense than I think the Bills were giving them credit for. Because Kareem Hunt, where did he go? Where was Kareem Hunt in this game? He was not prevalent. He was not explosive. Like, he's might be not traditionally, but he was not there. The Chiefs just did not, flat out, they did not show up to work today, or Sunday. They did not show up to work Sunday, and they paid for it, and this is, I'll play this before we head to break again, but this is what Andy Reid said about this team, about that performance.
To our fans and all the support that they've given us. Today was a rough day. We didn't really play well in any of the phases. Didn't coach good enough. They did a nice job. I'm proud of our guys, though, for the battle, the fight that they put in throughout the year, and all the games that they've played here over the last few years. So my hat goes off to the guys for that. And
Andy Reid, humble guy, coached the Eagles for the longest time, lost to them here. It's a tough loss for him, and he understands that. He sees that. Where do the Chiefs go? I think they need to get younger. I think it's time to get younger for the Chiefs. Not a full-on rebuild. Do not fully rebuild. Don't break it down around Mahomes, but you certainly need to retool and you need to put some more effort. I know getting younger through the draft is awesome. It's a good option, but you need to be better and you need to find an O-line to stop this titan of a defense. Like, you have the blueprint now of what's going to break you, and that was the best defense that the NFC could offer. So how do you get an O-line that's better than that? How do you get an O-line that's better than that defense right there? I think that's going to be the Chiefs' main question entering the offseason. We're going to throw it to a quick break, and when we come back, we will have our special guest of the week coming up to talk about the Eagles' victory at the Super Bowl. Keep it right here on Between the Lines on 98.7 Roar Radio, the student voice of Piedmont University. Welcome back into Between the Lines on 98.7 Roar Radio. Eric Evanson here with you, and with a special guest, our guest of the week, Mr. Matt Kadrowski. Matt, welcome back to the studio.
I know, it's been, oh my gosh, has it really been a year? Holy smokes.
It has.
Wow.
It's been a year. It doesn't feel like it. Like, it feel like last semester, come and gone so fast.
Flew by.
Absolutely.
I wasn't even there. Wasn't even there.
No. I mean, these past 6 months, past 8 months, really has been. It has just been so fast.
It gets so fast.
So fast. So we're here to talk about, obviously, the Super Bowl. Matt is in the studio. He's got his Eagles jersey on. Of course, Matt, big Eagles guy, big Eagle guy, and man, they showed up in a big way on Sunday.
Oh, it was tremendous. It was absolutely tremendous. I don't think anybody expected them to be up 24-0 at halftime, and then 31-0 going into the fourth quarter.
I think it was 36. Like, they got up there.
It was huge. It was huge. We didn't see anything happen with the Chiefs offensively until 2 minutes left in the third quarter when they finally got into the other side of the 50.
Yeah, the final score was 40 to 22. I don't feel like that score was very accurate at all of how the game went, because the Chiefs were figured out from the opening snap. They were figured out because Vic Fangio and this defense. Oh my goodness.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
If you had told me, I don't think anyone would have expected to. Well, I wouldn't have been surprised if you came to me and said, oh, yeah, the Eagles are going to force 3 turnovers. They're going to have 2 interceptions off Patrick Mahomes. One will be a pick six. And they're going to rack up 6 sacks and not blitz once.
One time.
They had 6 sacks and never blitzed once. They just got home with the 4-man rush. And that is just an absolute true testament to how great that defensive line is for the Eagles. I mean, we're not going to see a talented defensive line like that for quite some time.
No, and the 4-man cover, it was used 38.9%, I believe I said, in the first half in the game. That is the most since 2018 for any game. So they had a game plan. They came in, they executed it perfectly because, like you said, Mahomes had nothing in that first half. The Chiefs had nothing, and I think a lot of it is because they abandoned the run game.
Mm-hmm. And it's been a sign that the team that runs the ball the most, or at least has the most production with the run game, is usually the team that wins the Super Bowl. And they did a great job. The Chiefs' defense did a good job of shutting down Saquon Barkley for the most part. I mean, they held him to under 100 yards, but
they held him under 60.
To be fair, he only needed like 30 to become the
right.
most rushing yards in regular season and postseason in NFL history. But that's crazy. We had seen him go off for more than that in one run in one game. So it was crazy to see that kind of firepower get held under duress. But it didn't matter. It didn't matter because, look, and I'll be the first to say this. I said on the show a couple weeks ago that I'm not a big Jalen Hurts guy. I never have been a big Jalen Hurts guy. I figured, if he's going to kill you the most, he's going to kill you with his legs. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's an unfair assessment for how he's performed in his career. But goodness, he found his targets on Sunday night. He made them pay, and he made the Chiefs and Spags pay for
putting all of their game plan into Saquon Barkley. And I think that's of course, Saquon ran the entire season long. So all season long, you were thinking, man, this postseason run by the Eagles is going to be defined by how far Saquon takes them. And he took them far. But in the biggest spot, during the brightest lights, it wasn't Saquon who took them that far. It was their QB.
It was the other guy who could squat 700-plus pounds on the Eagles' offensive backfield. But you're so right. But I always feel like when you look at the analysts, they're always talking about, the Eagles' passing game is crazy because since the bye week in week 4, they ran the ball more than anybody else and threw the ball less than anybody else. It's like, well, yeah, because they didn't have to. Mm-hmm. It's not the fact that they had a pass game that they didn't have. It's not that they didn't have a pass game that they could rely on. It's that they had a great pass game that they didn't need to rely on. In a lot of the games, when they won 10 straight games,
yep.
They didn't need the passing game to be hot in any of those games. We saw it against Pittsburgh, and Jalen comes into the press conference. He says, "Is that what y'all wanted to see?" Yeah, apparently that's what they wanted to see. It's not what anyone needed to see, but it showed in that game that they can produce if they need to. If Saquon gets snuffed out, it's not like they're out of options. You have A.J. Brown. You have Devontae Smith. You have Dallas Goedert. Apparently, you have Jahan Dotson, too, which nobody expected that.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought he was going to get that for opening touchdown. That was crazy.
We thought he had the first touchdown of the game, but that was denied. But
we were really about to say someone made a lot of money if they placed that Jahan Dotson was going to score that opening touchdown.
Man, you make bank off of that one. You're like, I'm done for the rest of the game. Yeah, I made my money. I'm out of here. But man, oh man, and you're exactly right because Saquon Barkley, so talented, but also shout out Devontae Smith, the first Alabama wide receiver to have a receiving touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Crazy stat.
He said the amount of talent that Alabama has produced, and they just have not gotten that job done.
Julio Jones, Amari Cooper.
Yeah, but none of them received it in the end zone till last night.
Unbelievable.
And flip it to the
What
Chiefs.
a shot, too.
Yeah.
41-yard. People were saying the whole time, Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball. He had a 40-plus yard dime that touchdown perfectly right in the end zone.
Oh, it was
Perfect
an
throw.
absolute dot. And that's back-to-back games where Jalen Hurts had 200 yards, 200-plus yards.
Passing.
246 in the championship game and 211, I believe, in this game. And, Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP, well-deserved. Another guy that we thought that would win could possibly win the Super Bowl MVP was Josh Sweat.
Oh, my gosh. Josh Sweat he had 2.5 sacks.
2.5 sacks.
2.5 sacks. Like, pretty much half of the Eagles' sacks just came from Josh Sweat. And it's crazy because they're probably not going to have him next year.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Hey, but the Eagles are going to be okay with the defense. They're going to be, and I said this going into the playoffs, is that, man, the Eagles, they went on a complete stretch of just dominance. I had my biggest concern with the Eagles coming into the year was Nick Sirianni. I'm still very lukewarm on Nick Sirianni because I think Vic, he got carried by Vic as well as Kellen Moore a little bit, as well as Saquon Barkley a little bit.
Not Kellen, I don't think. Kellen did. I think Kellen had some say in the play calling.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it was mostly.
Here's the thing. After last year, the ownership and the GM brought in external people to call his plays for him. And look, coaching, tough job, get it. And that delegation worked wonders. They're all Super Bowl champions now. Also, Kellen Moore might be the first OC to ever be made by a running back. Either way. But the defense is going to be great for the Eagles. They came in. I thought they were going to be inevitable. They look like a powerhouse. There was a lot of media placed on Detroit this year in the NFC. And I thought, hey, if the Eagles get to the NFC Championship and let's say they're facing Detroit, I might take the Eagles because, well, Detroit was injured, just decimated by injuries
on defense
all year long, which they of course can't control. But still, I would take the way Jalen Hurts had been because I'll give Jalen Hurts this. He's not always going to come up with the explosive play, but he's a lot more safe than what you would get out of Detroit.
And the Eagles were incredibly consistent this year. I mean, you look at the 3 losses, right? 2 of them were one drop pass away from being wins, and in one of them, Jalen Hurts was out at the first quarter.
Yeah.
He had a backup quarterback in there for the most of that game, where you were one catch away from winning.
Shout out Kenny Pickett, Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, who showed up in the game. Well, we saw that we lost our minds. We're like, Kenny Pickett's in the game. What's going on here?
If you told a Pittsburgh fan that Kenny Pickett would be taking snaps in the Super Bowl in 2025, they would think everything has gone right in the world.
Oh my gosh.
My goodness.
Unbelievable. And then the other game they lost, they were missing Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. They were completely one-dimensional in that game. So when you have all your pieces healthy, there was nothing that could stop them. I mean, I think that Tampa Bay loss was probably, I don't want to say it was the most legitimate loss, but it was.
Baker Mayfield had one of those games where he just goes insane.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield does that from time to time where you just can't stop him.
And apparently Jalen Hurts is like 2-4 against Tampa, which is a crazy stat.
Hey, Tampa still has a pretty lockdown defense. They're still pretty solid in that department.
Unless you're facing Washington.
Unless you're facing Washington. Well, Matt, really appreciate you coming on the show. It's always
Absolutely.
a treat to talk ball with you and, kind of a reunion with the station.
Absolutely. Thank you, and go Birds.
Hey, go Birds from Matt Kadrowski, of course, an alumni here at Piedmont University. We're going to throw it to a quick break, bring you back with some games to watch for the upcoming week, and send you on out for the rest of your afternoon. Keep it right here on Between the Lines on 98.7 Roar Radio, the student voice of Piedmont University. Welcome back into Between the Lines. Going to hit you with some quick games to watch before we get you out of here. Atlanta versus the Knicks will be on Wednesday. That's in the NBA. Lakers will be versus Utah, and OKC will be at Minnesota on Thursday. And, of course, the NBA All-Star Game is this Sunday. All right, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to tune in next week when we talk about college basketball. It's getting around the corner for March Madness. Stay safe, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in this week on Between the Lines. Tune in next week for another great guest and another great show. Check out the show on Instagram and YouTube at EOTZ Between the Lines. Until next time, everyone, stay safe, make good decisions, watch sports, and as always, have a good one.